Do you ever feel like you're trying to be smart with your money, but no matter how much you save, you still feel behind? Like you're doing what you're supposed to do, paying down debt, putting a little into savings when you can, but somehow building real wealth still feels out of reach. You see people talking about investing, financial freedom, growing their portfolios, and it's like, where do they even start? Do they know some secret you don't? If that hits close to home, you're not alone. A lot of adults in their 30s, 40s, even 50s feel like they missed some invisible train that everyone else quietly got on. And honestly, it's not because you're lazy, bad with money, or irresponsible. Most of us were just never taught how to think about investing in a way that feels doable or real. What we were taught, even just by watching the people around us, often ends up holding us back more than helping us. That's what this video is about. Because after years of hearing the same advice, save more, spend less, I started realizing the real issue wasn't just about numbers. It was the beliefs underneath them. The quiet myths so many of us carry that shape our relationship with money and keep us stuck, even when we're working hard and doing our best. So today, I want to talk about 5 investment myths that keep regular people like you and me, from growing wealth in a meaningful, sustainable way. These aren't just technical mistakes or budgeting slip-ups. These are mental roadblocks that can keep us in a cycle of not yet, not enough, or not for me. Let's start with the big one. The myth that you need to be rich to start investing. That belief alone has held so many people back. We think investing is for people who have thousands of dollars to throw around. We picture fancy suits, Wall Street, maybe some guy with 5 monitors and a bunch of stock charts. But let me ask you something. How many people do you know who waited until they had money to start investing and then just never got around to it? I used to think like that too. I'd tell myself, I'll start investing once I make more, or I need to pay off my debt first, then I'll look into it. And look, being cautious makes sense. No one wants to invest money they can't afford to lose. But the truth is, waiting until you feel ready can mean missing out on years of growth. Years where your money could quietly be working for you, even while you sleep. I remember talking to a friend in his early 40s who finally started investing with just $100. That's it, $100. And he told me, I waited 15 years because I thought it wasn't even worth it until I had more. But now I realize it's not about the amount, it's about the habit. And that's the truth most of us miss. Starting small isn't failure. It's power, it's momentum. It's you showing up for your future even when it feels uncomfortable. Because let's be real, most of us weren't taught how to invest. If anything, we were taught to be afraid of it. Which brings me to the second myth, that investing is just too risky. Now I get it. The word investment can trigger fear. Stock market crashes, recessions, crypto collapses. There's a lot of noise out there. And if you've got a family to support, bills to pay, or even just a tight budget, the idea of risking your hard-earned money can feel irresponsible or even reckless. But here's the twist. Not investing can actually be the bigger risk. Let that land for a second. Keeping your money in a regular savings account feels safe, right? But over time, inflation eats away at that money. Prices go up and your dollars quietly lose value while they sit there. So in trying to protect our money, we can actually end up shrinking its power. Think about it like this. If you had $1,000 in a savings account 10 years ago and didn't touch it, you'd still have that $1,000 today. But what that money can buy has changed. Gas costs more, groceries cost more, rent, daycare, even coffee. Everything's gone up, except the interest your bank's giving you. Investing, on the other hand, is how your money can keep pace or even grow ahead. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't mean gambling your savings on some startup you heard about on TikTok. It can be simple. An index fund, a retirement account, even rounding up your purchases to invest the spare change. Small steps, steady habits, long game. And look, I'm not saying throw all your money in the market tomorrow. I'm saying start learning. Start asking questions. Start trusting that you can do this, even if no one ever taught you how. Which brings me to something a little deeper. The myth that you're just not the kind of person who invests. This one's personal. Because it's not just about money, it's about identity. Maybe you grew up in a family where people didn't talk about investing. Maybe money always felt tight or unstable or stressful. Maybe no one in your circle ever talked about stocks or portfolios or compound interest. So it starts to feel like that's not for people like me. That's for rich people or finance bros or people who already have money to play with. And that quiet belief, it becomes a wall. You don't learn because it doesn't feel like it belongs to you. You don't start because it feels out of reach. You say things like, I'm just not good with money, and those words settle in your bones like truth. But here's what I want you to hear, gently but clearly. You are the kind of person who can invest, not because you have it all figured out, not because you've got thousands in savings, but because you care about your future, because you're showing up, because you want something more than just treading water financially for the next 20 or 30 years. You don't have to become someone else. You just have to believe that you're allowed to learn, to try, to take up space in conversations about wealth and growth and opportunity. Because investing isn't just about numbers. It's about ownership, about saying, my future matters and I'm going to do what I can to build it. And if no one ever told you that before, let me be the first to say it. You belong here. Let's keep going. So if you've ever told yourself, that's just not who I am, or people like me don't do that kind of thing, I want you to pause and ask, where did that belief come from? And more importantly, is it helping you or holding you back? Because that belief, it's not truth. It's conditioning. It's something we absorb from what we see, hear, and live through, especially when money was tight growing up, or when stability always felt just out of reach. For a lot of us, especially in our late 20s to 40s, we're still unlearning things we didn't even realize were shaping our decisions. And one of the most damaging myths, one I want to sit with for a moment, is this idea that you missed your chance. That if you didn't start investing in your 20s, you're already behind. That the ship has sailed. That if you haven't bought a house or maxed out your retirement accounts by now, well, you may as well just try to get by and hope for the best. Let me tell you something that might sound simple, but is powerful. You are not too late. I know you might be carrying a lot. Maybe you've spent the last few years just trying to survive, raising kids, working multiple jobs, dealing with health stuff, supporting family, going through divorce, job loss, burnout. Life gets heavy. It's messy. And sometimes investing just feels like something for other people who didn't have so much going on. But here's what I've learned watching friends, clients, and even strangers on this journey. Wealth doesn't only come from early starts. It comes from consistent steps. It comes from deciding that your future is worth showing up for today. Not perfectly, not all at once, just with what you can do now. I once spoke with a woman named Julia, 47, single mom, worked full-time as a dental hygienist. She told me she didn't start investing until she was 43. I felt like I had screwed it up, she said. But then one day I realized I still have 20 years before retirement. That's 240 months. If I do something each month, it'll add up. She started small, $50 a month into a Roth IRA. And as her confidence grew, so did her contributions. But more than that, she stopped feeling like her past was some permanent limitation. She stopped letting shame or comparison tell her what was possible. And that shift, that is what this whole conversation is really about. Not about stocks or funds or market timing, about seeing yourself differently, about breaking through these myths that quietly whisper, you can't, you're too late, or this isn't for you. Another sneaky myth that a lot of people buy into, especially working professionals in their 30s and 40s, is this idea that your job is enough. That if you're earning a steady paycheck, contributing to your 401k, and maybe getting a yearly raise, you're already doing all you can. That investing outside of that is unnecessary or extra. Now let me be clear. Having a stable job is a huge asset. And if you've got access to a 401k or pension or some kind of employee retirement benefit, that's a good thing. But here's what most people don't realize. Your job is income. It's not a wealth plan. Jobs can go away. Economies can shift. Companies restructure. Burnout hits. And if the only plan you have is keep working and hope nothing goes wrong, that's a very fragile safety net. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it so you can be empowered to build something more durable. Your investments, whether in the market, in real estate, or in building up savings that grow. Those are the seeds that can grow whether or not your job stays the same. They give you options. They give you breathing room. They give you the ability to walk away from toxic environments, say yes to time with your kids, take a sabbatical, or retire before your knees give out. And the good news? You don't need to quit your job or make a huge leap to start shifting things. It starts with awareness, with looking at your finances like a whole picture, not just income and expenses, with asking, how can I make my money grow without working more hours? I've met teachers, postal workers, baristas, graphic designers, people in everyday jobs who built real wealth over time by making small but consistent investment choices. They didn't win the lottery. They didn't launch a startup or go viral. They just got intentional. They stopped buying into the myth that income alone would carry them. And look, I know that kind of mindset shift doesn't happen overnight, especially when you've spent years, maybe decades, trying to just stay afloat. When every extra dollar feels like it already has a job, groceries, school fees, car repairs, credit card minimums, the idea of investing might even feel irresponsible. Like, shouldn't I pay off everything first? Shouldn't I wait until I'm more stable? Those are valid questions. Real life is complicated, but here's the thing. Investing isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's not pay off everything, then start investing. It's, can I find a way to do a little of both? Can I start where I am with what I have and build from there? I know a couple who were drowning in student loan debt trying to raise 3 kids. Their finances were tight and every month felt like a juggling act. But they decided to start with just $25 a month into a joint investment account. That's it. Over time, they increased it to $50, then $100. Not because they made more money, but because they started to see investing as non-negotiable, not extra, not optional, but essential. And with that mindset, they built momentum. They stopped waiting for the right time and created a habit that stuck. You don't need to be debt-free to start investing. You don't need a 6-figure salary or perfect credit. You just need to believe that you're allowed to start small and grow from there. Because this isn't about being a financial expert or mastering the stock market overnight. It's about reclaiming your sense of agency, saying, I may not have started early, but I'm starting now. And that's more powerful than any myth that ever told you otherwise. Let's keep going. There's one more myth I want to talk about. And honestly, it might be the most exhausting of them all. It's the myth that you need to know everything before you can start investing. That belief sneaks in quietly. Maybe you've caught yourself thinking things like, I don't want to mess this up. Or what if I pick the wrong thing? Or I should probably read more, learn more, wait until I really understand how this works. And suddenly, weeks become months, months become years. And the fear of getting it wrong keeps you from doing anything. Sound familiar? That was me for a long time. I thought investing meant I needed to read financial news every day, track stock prices, and understand things like PE ratios and market volatility. I thought I needed to be good at it before I even got started. And that belief, it paralyzed me. But the truth is, you don't need to know everything to begin. You just need to know enough to take the first step and trust that you can keep learning along the way. Think about it this way. You don't learn to ride a bike by reading about physics. You learn by getting on the thing, wobbling a little, falling maybe, but eventually finding your balance. Investing works a lot like that. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be in motion. I remember talking to a guy named Kevin. He's a warehouse manager, mid-30s, raising 2 kids. He told me he put off investing for 7 years because he felt overwhelmed. He thought he needed to pick the perfect strategy or find the right time. But finally, one night, he just downloaded a basic app, put in $20, and clicked invest. And he told me, it wasn't the money that changed everything. It was the decision. That $20 made me feel like I was finally in the game. That's the key. Not waiting until you've mastered it all. Not putting pressure on yourself to become a financial guru, but realizing you don't have to know everything to start building something real. In fact, some of the smartest investors keep it simple. They invest in broad, low-cost index funds, the kind that just track the overall market. They set up automatic contributions and then let time do the heavy lifting. No fancy strategies, No day trading, no stress, just consistent action over time. And if you're someone who thrives with structure, you don't even have to do it alone. There are robo-advisors now that can help you set up a plan based on your goals and risk tolerance. There are financial coaches and community resources, and even TikToks and podcasts that explain this stuff in plain English. What matters most isn't what platform you use or how much you start with. It's that you stop letting fear or perfectionism hold you hostage. Because here's the real truth that almost no one talks about. You learn investing by investing. You get better by doing. You gain clarity through action, not the other way around. And honestly, that lesson applies to so much more than money, right? How many other parts of life have we delayed because we were afraid to start messy? How many goals, career moves, personal dreams, side hustles, relationships have we put on pause until we felt ready? When deep down, we were just scared. Scared to get it wrong, scared to fail, scared to look foolish. But here's something I want you to hold on to. Growth doesn't happen in certainty. It happens in movement, in trying, in taking the first small imperfect step and letting that be enough for now. So maybe today your step is opening a free investment account, or reading one article that doesn't make your eyes glaze over, or transferring $10 into a savings goal you've been avoiding. That's how this shifts, from theory to action, from fear to freedom. And I want to say this to you directly, from one human to another. You are allowed to build wealth, not just survive, not just get by, but grow. Create a life that isn't ruled by stress or scarcity, one where you get to make decisions from a place of peace, not panic. This isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about agency. It's about dignity. It's about not waiting for someone else to give you permission to have a future you're proud of. So if you're watching this and feeling a mix of hope and fear right now, good. That means something in you is waking up. That part of you that's ready for more. That's tired of sitting on the sidelines. That's curious, determined, maybe even a little angry that no one taught you this sooner. Let that feeling move you. Let it be the fuel that drives your next step, even if it's small. Because small steps, taken with intention, lead to big changes. And look, if you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you. You're showing up. You're asking questions. You're being honest about your fears and open to something new. And that takes guts. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What myths have you believed about investing? What's held you back? And what's one thing you're ready to do differently? Let's turn this into a conversation. Let's learn together, grow together, and remind each other that it's never too late to start writing a better financial story. If this video helped you see things a little differently, give it a like. It helps more people find it. And if you want more videos like this, real talk, no jargon, just guidance and encouragement you can actually use, go ahead and subscribe. Because the truth is, you're not stuck. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just beginning. And I'm glad you're here. You know, when we talk about investing, it's easy to get caught up in the technical side of things. Stocks, bonds, returns, risk tolerance. It can feel cold or mechanical. But when I really think about it, investing is emotional, deeply emotional. Because money is tied to the things that matter most: safety, freedom, stability, dignity, and even love. When you invest, you're not just putting money into a fund. You're planting seeds for your future self. You're saying, I believe there's a tomorrow worth preparing for. That version of you that wants to travel one day, or help your kids through college, or not stress every time a car breaks down, that person deserves support, not struggle. And if no one ever told you that before, or if your past experiences made you feel like wealth and financial security just aren't for people like you, I'm here to tell you, you're allowed to rewrite that story, slowly, gently, one choice at a time. A good friend of mine once said something that stuck with me. You can't build wealth if you're constantly trying to prove you're not poor. And wow, that hit hard. Because so many of us, especially in our late 20s, 30s, and 40s, are spending so much energy keeping up with appearances, with lifestyle expectations, with what we think people in our careers or social circles are supposed to look like. We get caught in the trap of spending money we don't have to look like we're doing better than we feel. And that kind of pressure, it's exhausting. It keeps us chasing validation instead of building something real. But when you invest, even a little, you're stepping off that hamster wheel. You're choosing long-term peace over short-term image. You're saying, I'd rather have actual wealth than look like I have it. That's brave. It takes courage to live below your means in a world that encourages overconsumption. To say no to that new car or flashy upgrade so you can say yes to something bigger down the line. It takes strength to choose patience over instant gratification, especially when the payoff isn't immediate. But the thing is, wealth doesn't show up overnight. It shows up in small, quiet ways. In the growing confidence you feel when you check your investment account and see your money slowly multiplying. In the way you sleep better, knowing you have a cushion, even if it's still modest. In the power of knowing that future emergencies won't completely knock you off course. Those things, that's real freedom. It's not flashy. It doesn't always make for exciting Instagram posts, but it changes your life from the inside out. And I want to be real with you. It's okay if your path looks different than someone else's. Maybe you're investing $50 a month while someone else is doing $500. That doesn't make your effort any less valid. This isn't a race. This isn't about comparison. This is about building your life, one that aligns with your values, your responsibilities, and your dreams. So as we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with a few truths I hope you carry forward, not just about investing, but about your relationship with money and with yourself. You are not too late. You are not too broke. You are not too far behind. You do not need to be an expert. You just need to believe that you can start right now, as you are. And if there's one quiet decision you make today, let it be this. I am worth investing in. Not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, practically. Your future deserves attention. Not because you're behind, but because you're human. Because you matter. So go set up that investment account, even if you only put in $10. Ask questions. Be curious. Learn a little bit at a time. Talk to people who've done it, even if you feel a little embarrassed. You'll find that most of them started out confused too. That's how it goes. No one knows everything when they begin, but those who grow are the ones who begin anyway. And finally, if this video helped you shift something inside, helped you feel a little less stuck or a little more hopeful, thank you for being here. I mean that. It takes courage to show up for this kind of conversation, to look at your financial reality and decide you want something better. I'd love to hear what resonated with you most. Drop a comment below. What's one myth you're ready to let go of? What's one small action you'll take this week to start investing in yourself and your future? If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps this message reach more people who might need it. And if you want to keep walking this journey with me, learning, growing, building confidence in the things that actually matter, subscribe. There's more to come, but most of all, remember this. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are just getting started, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way.